Hello and welcome. It is another Xenial night here in College Park. The April tomfoolery has come to a close, but we're still here for a good time and hopefully see the Terps bring back another win. My name is Quentin.
And my name is Mel. We're super excited to have you guys back in studio tonight for another competitive stream. Tonight we'll be watching our Terps Overwatch Premier team compete against Michigan in a best of 5. Winner will move on to fight Ohio and claim victory as the next BEC champion.
But before we get into that action, let's go over some fundamental rules of Overwatch. Overwatch is a hero-based team shooter game where teams of 5 compete to push payloads, capture objectives, and all around dominate the opposition. Players need to meticulously strategize and collaborate amongst a cast of diverse characters to take home a victory.
The Terps are coming off an impressive win streak, vying for another win today against Esports. We're looking forward to tonight's competitive matchup.
And now that you are covered on what's happening tonight, let's introduce you to the Overwatch team.
Now, while he's not in studio, first up we have Klimpaloon. We hope to see him making some life-saving plays on support.
And next up, also not in studio today, we have PJ, a DPS player. He usually plays characters like Tracer or Reaper.
In studio, in our third seat, we have Tony. He's our team tank. We won't be surprised to see a Zarya or Diva, but this versatile player will be sure to shake things up and take control of the battlefield.
And our second player in studio, and also the subject of today's interview, we've got Funny. Funny likes to play fast, high-damage characters like Tracer.
And finally, in seat 5, we have C3E. He's our next support. Expect to see some Kiriko, Bap, Ana. Either way, he's going to be saving his team.
And now that you know our team, before we get into this player interview with Funny, of course, please enjoy our new player intro video.
Exciting.
All right, we're back. Hi, Funny. Thank you for joining me at the desk today.
Good to be here.
All right. Now, we're more than halfway through this semester. How do you think your playstyle has evolved as you've played through this semester so far?
Yeah, well, I think with the we're still been learning like the Vendetta comps, so I've sort of been moving away from like the head-on approach into a lot of fights, and I've been moving towards more flank engages. That's something that we've definitely been developing throughout the whole semester, and so that's definitely been a core sort of improvement I've been making.
Yeah, no, Overwatch has definitely not been static this year for sure. And yeah, Vendetta really been causing a lot of problems, I know, personally playing the game. Now, as we've moved through this semester, how have you noticed also the team changing? How's that dynamic kind of moved around as this game grows?
Well, for us especially, we have a team of 3 seniors, so as they're sort of moving away from the space, we've been passing on the they've been passing on sort of the mantle of leading the team, and I felt a lot of the dynamic has changed with that, with them sort of preparing the next team that we'll be seeing next year.
Yeah, I know they've been with us for a while. Yeah, but it's time to start prepping up for some new leaders to take hold. That is very exciting. Cool to see a little bit of a transition time, but it's cool to see how you guys are moving with it. Now, we're playing UMich today, a good solid team. Is there anything about them that really has you worried, or any strategies you guys are thinking about using coming in playing against UMich?
Yeah, well, Moose was talking about being very adaptable today. He says that if he sees any sort of switch, he's gonna go for it. He thinks that it's gonna work really good into Michigan. We've seen them at the last BEC LAN last year, so we know what we're up against, and we think we can have a good game.
Yeah, no, that's good. That sounds great. Now, yesterday was a bit of a fun day. Overwatch has had a long history of having a little bit of fun on April 1st. Did you play any of the event yesterday? Did you enjoy some of those very influential patches.
Yeah, I had a great time on Underwatch yesterday. The event was really good. There was a couple times where I was playing Mercy and I was flying towards them, and her res, it was a bomb, and I just exploded them. And then I don't know if you knew, but Tracer, who I play, her blink went from about this long to however far you can see. So I was just blinking across the map with one blink, and then shooting someone, and then just leaving, like completely gone. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, the yearly April Fool's Underwatch, always a fun time. Now, let's say, hypothetical here, I give you $14, which is the rough price of admission to any UMD dining hall.
Ooh.
Could I play in this match? And I will be throwing.
Who would you be playing for?
Oh, that's a great question. I think maybe I swap in for you. You swap in over here.
I think maybe you swap in for me. I go take that $14
Okay.
and check into South Dining before they close.
Oh, okay. That's a good plan. That's a good plan. And then I guess Mel will have to take all the casting by herself today. But I mean, sacrifices we have to make to get me in the field here. Just joking, of course. I know it's April 2nd, but you know, never too late to have a little April Fool's joke. Okay, but last, to end on a little more of a serious note. Now that they've had time to settle, we've had some patching, some correcting, we've seen how they look like in a more competitive play. What are your thoughts on the new heroes and how they fit in?
Well, for the newer heroes this season, we have 3 in Onron, Emery, and of course Jetpack Cat, which is everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
I had high hopes for Jetpack Cat coming into this season. I felt like Jetpack Cat was going to be very strong. I think Jetpack Cat is still really strong in certain picks, but throughout the season they've been nerfed multiple times. So that was a lot of fun to see, but not a whole lot of fun to play against. I think we'll continue to see really interesting strategies in the highest level around Jetpack Cat, because Jetpack Cat can warp the game in ways no other hero can. I think Emery is really just sort of like a new sleeper kind of new hero. He plays a lot like Cassidy, a lot like Ashe. He's very strong. His ultimate is very oppressive. You never want to be on the receiving end of that, but he's definitely been a strong addition to the roster. And then Onron, I've not seen much of Onron. As the flex DPS, that would have been my hero, but she's been lacking in strength, at least at the highest level, so I haven't seen much of her. But I think her kit is very cool. Her ability to res herself is very interesting. So maybe we'll see more of her if she gets some buffs in the coming seasons.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that although some of the heroes have found their spot, she still kind of needs a little bit of time to figure out exactly where she fits in. But I definitely do agree on Jetpack Cat. He can really mess things around with his lifeline there, especially. All right, again, Funny, thank you for participating in this interview. And that concludes our pre-show for today. We're really excited for this match coming up. But first, we're going to have a quick commercial break.
Hi, my name is Teddy Zielkowski. I am a 2022 graduate at the University of Maryland with a degree of Bachelor's of Landscape Architecture. And right now, I am a Terps Rocket League coach. Yeah, I think one of the biggest factors of why they invited me to be the coach for the Rocket League team was that I played a lot, and I was actually like the Rocket League president of the club. I played for the collegiate team before Terps Esports was a program. So I was a huge person in this community for Rocket League, so they really wanted someone who was kind of like a cornerstone that built this community to come back and be the coach. The most important thing about my role would be just getting to know all the different players on the team. Everyone has different lifestyles, they have different play styles, so you really gotta just get to know every single person so that you can help kind of connect them all together so they can play well on and off the pitch. My favorite part would just be seeing their improvements throughout the entire season. I mean, you start out and everyone's a bit awkward, everyone's kind of shy as well. And I think by the end of the season, like now, we play together. Everyone kind of jokes around a little bit more and kind of shines their natural ray. So it's really fun just seeing, and they're also just getting better at the game too. So we're excited just to see them play better as well. I like the program. I like the direction it's going. There's obviously so much more work to do and figuring everything out. But I really like the direction we're going, and I think just the more time that we're working to grow the program, the more we're going to learn how to just be better at the program. I think one of the things that I really want to keep improving upon for like Terps Esports is just building a bigger community for all the games. So the Rocket League community has a really big community over in the club side. So it was really nice to see more people just like bonding together. People are just, instead of just seeing as like practices as being like a forced mandatory thing, people are like reaching out to each other and like they really want to play proactively with each other, and they're becoming friends as well. So it's not even like a team and we're just teammates and that's it, but it's more like we're staying up till like 2, 3 a.m. playing because we're having fun playing, and that's also helping them get better as well. So they're prodigies at a certain game or something. So when more people are playing the game and just creating more noise, then it's awesome for more people to just keep coming. It's almost like a trend.
Welcome back. I hope you guys didn't miss us too much. But we're about to get into our first match of the night. It's going to be on Lijiang. Are you excited? Are you excited?
Yeah, Lijiang Tower, a controversial map. I know your opinions on it. I'm a little neutral to not a huge fan, but you know, you gotta have every map at some point, right?
We are opening up with a very early engagement of both teams, just kind of getting straight into that combat. We see the Terps open up with a Hazard. Not a surprise. Hazard has been very strong in this recent season, counteracting Michigan's Reinhardt. As again, we just kind of poke each other. We can look at these teams here. We're seeing a Lucio and a Kiriko come out from Michigan. Not very surprising. Very strong supports. We are seeing the Terps bring out a Zenyatta and a Kiriko. I'm excited to see how the Zenyatta plays out as that Reinhardt almost dies, it seems. But oh, speaking of, there goes Tony. The first official pick of the match. Not looking good for the Terps.
Yeah, I was about to make a comment about Reinhardt. A bit of an interesting pick. I mean, Zenyatta also as well, although playing into Hazard, Zenyatta can be, well, especially just maintaining that back line. But it looks like did not quite work out. But the good thing is it's the beginning of the map. Tony is able to get back really fast here. And the Terps are able to, come into this next interaction fully stocked, which is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, I do expect to see a lot of what we are just seeing. Oh, there's unfortunately Sojourn falling to that very Reinhardt that she is charging up her beams on. As we also see Funny fall into the enemy Tracer. Terps are just kind of being cleaned up, though C3 managing to get a pick onto the enemy Kiriko Pupsy. Tony and C3 not able to hold on. Tony needs to get out of there before the whole team is wiped.
Yeah, one thing I noticed in that interaction there is Tony went really far out to make sure he confirmed, got that Reinhardt down, but Michigan saw that and took that opportunity and took out a lot of the squishier backline people. We saw Zenyatta go down, we saw Kiriko go down. They were really aware of that.
As we see that Hazard out go ult, unfortunately not finding home on anyone, as Kiriko just kind of manages to keep everyone up, as we see Funny again falling to the enemy Tracer. He has to avoid those 1v1s. It's proving very dangerous. Tony barely managing to save himself from that boop. Very impressive, as we see Zenyatta almost falling into that back line. Again, the Terps are just kind of reuniting here. I think that's a good play, as we're seeing a lot of, when you go off, you're getting picked. Now going in with that Kiriko ult from C3, Zenyatta just kind of pushing in as Hazard maybe goes a little too deep, but his team is following through with him, managing to push Michigan off the point as the Terps finally cap.
Yeah, no, a good use of resources there by the Terps. I mean, it's still pretty early in the match, although Michigan does have 88%. It's still pretty early. People are just getting ultimates. Terps had a little bit of an advantage. They used that Kiriko to get that point cap, but still have enough ultimates to defend, especially that Zenyatta ultimate, Tony also getting a pick there, but that Zenyatta ultimate, very helpful. I mean, that's immunity for like 8-9 seconds. That can be very valuable. So it's definitely a good card for them to have in their back pocket.
we are seeing, again, kind of an even distribution of ults on both teams, all coming up on 3, though Michigan notably not having their support ultimates. I think that is very important, as you note. As, again, we're seeing this Tracer interaction. Hopefully Funny can come out on top this time. Ooh, managing to get that health pack. Good job, as we're... there goes that Zenyatta ultimate. I'm not quite sure what that was counteracting, as we see... Kiriko just kind of pushing through, keeping up Tony. Facing that Fire Strike as Lucio tries to boop them off the edge, not managing. Still holding on to that high ground. Congrats to the Terps there. As we see this Reinhardt just kind of hesitantly try and touch that point, maybe get that recapture as Tony falls into that stun. Oof, that's rough. Are we going to see the Terps hold this point? Yeah, we're going to have C3, unfortunately, not able to knock out that Mei. And the point is going to go back into Michigan. Terps may be able to get that final touch, but I think it's going to be a rough shot.
Yeah, no, it might be a little rough. You know, they only got a few more seconds left, and they're really getting held to the spawn here. One thing I've been noticing a lot with this round is it seems the Terps are just being a little overeager, extending pretty far. I mean, with that Hazard too especially, it's pretty easy to do that. And when you overextend with a dive tank, it can be a little much. But the Terps are able to at least come back by the skin of their teeth right there
with that ball swap.
Yeah,
we've seen Tony swap to ball in the final minutes quite a bit. I think it's become a more common strategy in a post-Marvel Rivals era where Doctor Strange is kind of a necessary part of the end game to get back onto that point. We're seeing again Tony trying to get those points as the beat comes out from Michigan to get onto that point. I don't know if the Terps are going to be able to counteract that, as Michigan also pops their Kiriko ultimate, allowing them to actually capture the point again. Are the Terps going to be able to hold on to overtime? Who's currently on the point? We're seeing, again, Tracer trying to hold on to that point. That boop getting Tony off. Desperately trying to get a pick here. Unfortunately, falling himself to the enemy Lucio, who has proven to be a very formidable force against Michigan. We're seeing a lot of boops that, even if they're not getting the kills themselves, are definitely keeping the Terps away from their objectives.
Yeah, no, I definitely saw his impact. I mean, early on, he booped the Zenyatta off. He's been really on his game. I mean, as Lucio, the most you can do is just be in the right place at the right time, and it seems like he always is. So the Terps are definitely going to have to play against that.
We are seeing the Terps, Tony specifically, switch into a Zarya on this map. I wonder how this is going to work out with that Lucio. Zarya is very boopable. She's not, again, doesn't have anything that can get her off that bridge once she's knocked off. So I hope Tony plays safe, as we're also seeing Ugg start out with that Symmetra, likely just for that TP. I doubt she's going to stick around for very long. Michigan also starting with that Symmetra pick, again, immediately swapping back to Tracer, going back to that Sojourn. As we saw before, just immediate confrontation. Funny on Vendetta, just diving in with that Zarya, who is already incredibly low from the Fire Strikes. Vendetta doing her own formidable amount of damage into that Reinhardt, wisely going into the back line, successfully chasing away Rein's compatriots as she herself is, again, knocked low. Tony playing a dangerous game, walking by himself as his team is kind of distracted separately on the point, though Terps have a solid capture on this point, as Michigan just kind of has to stay afraid in that room.
Yeah, no, I gotta say, earlier in the interview, Funny did mention adaptability as their big thing, and I think we're definitely seeing it right now. Tony historically been amazing at Zarya, been able to make amazing plays at Zarya, and with that Vendetta being able to give her that bubble, you know, she's so easy to die, and that little extra bit of survivability could really be a good difference.
Unfortunately, I do think Quentin jinxed it, as we just witnessed Funny fall to his demise. But I think it was because he didn't have that Zarya, as we're again seeing that Lucio have incredible impact, just pushing the Terps away from each other, when it's just very important that they kind of, again, huddle around Tony here, though they're managing to hold on to that point as C3 knocks out the enemy Tracer, and Pupsy falls. C3 again falling himself to that Cassidy as the Terps just kind of clean everything up.
Wow, a great comeback by the Terps there. I mean, it was really strenuous there. But as you saw, Tony was really that central point there. His Zarya, very dominant. And when you're playing a character like Zarya, the team just has to be all around you. You know, you have to be one unit. And they were a little, you know, little all over the place. But once they got back together, they really came in and kept that point, which is definitely going to be a big thing here. You know, they got this momentum now.
Speaking of momentum, we're seeing the Beat and the Kitsune come out from Michigan, allowing them to push in, knock out Tony, knock out Klimpaloon, and knock out Ugg on Sojourn. And I think that is going to be a full retreat from the Terps, having only 2 left, but wisely holding on to their ultimates, besides Tony, who did throw out that grab, but I think they won't suffer in the long run here as they're all reuniting together to go push this bridge, coming out with C3's ultimate into that shatter with that Cassidy ultimate, unfortunately knocking out C3 with that Tracer, though, oh, Klimpaloon successfully booping off Reinhardt, and once again, was that another successful boop, or did they manage to make it back onto land? As we're seeing the Terps just kind of storm forward, but I think this is going to be the end of Klimp. Oh, never mind. Oh, I jinxed it.
We've got a little bit of caster cursing going on both sides here today. But yeah, you know, Umish really used all their support ults for that, and it seems to be really a good investment so far. Although the Terps are going to have this advantage moving forward resource-wise, they are building up a lot more efficiently than Umish is. We've got 3 ults already. Tony already looking at that next grab. I think the Terps are in a great position to recap and maybe win this round.
Especially since they're probably only going to be coming up on that Kitsune and Lucio for a while now, when they're going to when Terps are going to have that beat ready. As we're seeing again, Tony just walk into that Cassidy, his team not responding to help him. Reinhardt trying to just hold on to that point and get contest and get more points. As we're seeing Tony just kind of barge into him. They're kind of just sharing space together. It's interesting to watch as we see that beat come out from Klimpaloon for the Terps, followed by that Sojourn ultimate. I wonder if we're going to see a grab follow through here as the Reinhardt falls to C3. That Tracer again trying to hold her best, but I think it might be wise to just retreat at this moment as Tony holds on despite eating that Pulse Bomb and successfully knocking out that Tracer as Vendetta just continues to push through, playing a dangerous game, managing to escape and get cleaned up by the supports on the Terps.
Yeah, no, great use by the Terps and great restraint too. They still got a lot of resources left, more than Michigan, including support ults, and there comes the grab out.
Oh, but Michigan successfully beating to keep that Reinhardt alive as that Cassidy ult unfortunately doesn't knock anyone out for Michigan. As we see the Terps Kitsune come to hopefully keep the Terps alive as they're just pressuring Klimpaloon on Lucio as Zarya walks into Michigan's Lucio, and it looks like Michigan is almost completely wiped as we see PUBG struggling to hold on that capture, but it's going to go to the Terps. A perfect 1-1. What a fun start.
A great start, I gotta say, because this second round really just a great response.
Yes.
I mentioned it before, but you know, they said going in that they wanted to be adaptable. They have played this team before. They have played them in LAN before. They know kind of what they're going up against. So what I really loved to see is that they saw what happened in this first round and they changed it back up. They went a little bit to more of what they specialize in, especially understanding that Umish is going to come in with a Reinhardt.
Yes.
That's a big thing to understand and to respond to. You know, the hazard wasn't really quite working into the Reinhardt. The dive not really working into the Reinhardt. So they changed it up and, you know, it really worked for them.
It is interesting to go Zarya into a Reinhardt. I feel like it's normally Reinhardt is the steady counter for Zarya, but Tony is just playing it so well. It's working for him and his team as we see Michigan use that Symmetra teleport to get immediately onto that point, already in a positional advantage over the Terps as Tracer just kind of tickles. Oh, never mind, does pick off Funny in the background with that Symmetra, with the help of Symmetra. Oh, I wonder what this TP is going to be. Just, going right into the cluster of the Terps, breaking through that Zarya, managing to knock out Klimpaloon. Terps are down a support, and it looks like Michigan is going to capture that point, and the Terps can't really do much until they're all together again.
Yeah, no, the Michigan definitely also responding, coming in with their strategy, being way more aggressive, using that TP to really push them back. They've definitely noticed something about the Terps strategy and are trying to take advantage of that with this really hard press.
Yeah, this Tracer on the backline is proving to be quite annoying for the supports on the Terps as Klimpaloon falls once again to the Symmetra. He's going to need to be careful to avoid her and her turrets as Tony manages to get onto point, trying to capture what he can as Reinhardt holds his shield up in the corner. Tony managing to knock him out and also getting in. Oh, never mind. Symmetra holding on, but I think Tony can do it. There we go as Klimpaloon chases down the enemy Lucio off the point, allowing the Terps to finally capture. Michigan only getting 36%. It's still anyone's game.
Still anyone's game, but that's the thing about Tony's Zarya is, like, normally, Reinhardt would be the counter, but this is Tony's Zarya we're talking about. Zarya, he plays like nothing else, you know? He's just so dominant with Zarya that you can't apply normal, you know, normal matchups with him.
We are missing, unfortunately, the Lucio 1v1 that was going on in point as the Michigan manages to get back onto the objective and recapture. The Terps only getting 24%. Luckily, C3 having that Kitsune, able to get out. I'm expecting to see a grab here in not too long as the Michigan responds with their own Kitsune. Here comes the grab. Reinhardt just throwing his shield around. The beat coming out from Yamitra, doing a lot to keep the entirety of Michigan alive. Unfortunately, Tony falling, and I think the Terps are going to want to back up here. Vendetta trying to get that pick onto that Symmetra, and it's just not enough as C3 is unfortunately hammered to death.
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate interaction for the Terps here. They used a lot of resources out there. I mean, they were at least able to draw up both support ultimates while still taking one on. That's a great opportunity. They have a beat here. They really have something to work with. They've got the Sojourn ultimate. You know, there is a good potential here. Ooh. There goes that Reinhardt ult.
Shatter only getting Tony down, who is still alive. Never mind. T-Shark managing to clean it up as Ugg comes into that backline, knocking out both the Symmetra and the Lucio on the enemy's team, and walking onto point like she owns the place as Reinhardt just tries to trail behind and do what he can to hold on to this objective, but I think Sojourn's going to be able to clean it up. He can't do very much without his Shatter as the enemy Lucio manages to get back onto point, but Sojourn has her supports with her. We're also seeing a Pharah come out from the Terps in these final as well as a Winston.
Wow.
I think maybe Tony was missing Winston since he was banned during the April Fools event. But the Terps managing to reclaim that objective. But Michigan sitting on that 99%. It will only take one capture, and then it's going to be over for the Terps.
Yeah, but as we see here, the Terps are adjusting. They're trying something new. It wasn't really working out, so they're trying something new. It's interesting to see. We see C3 pulling out that Kiriko.
Good Kitsune, playing into that Winston shield. Just doing what they can to get that Reinhardt. His shield is incredibly strong here, but the Terps are able to hold on, knocking out T-Shark and Pubsy. And yeah, that entire push just kind of flopped for Michigan. It almost felt like a waste, but I don't think they used any ults in that moment. Yeah. So they're just kind of biding time for this. Oh, we're seeing Sojourn clean up that back line. This was a very smart play from UGG, managing to capture that objective in these, getting it right to 99%.
Yeah. Only thing of worry here is, yes, those resources, the ultimates right now.
Yeah.
There comes that Symmetra one. UMD doesn't really have much to say in response.
Got nothing. Unfortunately, the Tracer managing to take out Symmetra, just doing what she can to hold on to that point for Michigan. As we see Tony jump around on Winston. I think this is a good pick, allowing them to jump behind that Reinhardt wall as the beat comes out, saving T-Shark's life. Tony, again, just jumping around. He doesn't have his team with him. It might be wise to escape while you can. Try and get that final touch. And unfortunately, this is going to go into Michigan. But it was a good fight. The Terps did a great job, held their own every second of the way.
Yeah, no, a great first game. As we saw, here we have the
not a surprise.
Michigan Lucio, as we said earlier, definitely making a lot of an impact.
He had consistently incredibly solid beats, and again, his boops were just about breaking up the cluster that was the Terps, and
yeah,
it worked out in the end.
Yeah, definitely great beat usage, great like awareness of everything that's going on. You know, like I said, he was always in the right place at the right time. We saw in that clip he was just at the right point to be able to give that last bit to turn, getting them really low into an elimination, getting them off the map there, which is so important and really does make that big difference, is just, you know, being able to really convert just, you know, a lot of damage into actually taking somebody out. And it's clear that definitely did make a difference. You know, round one was definitely pretty decisively Michigan. And it was really nice to see that change in round two.
Yes,
from UMD, and it did really work out well, but and they tried it in round three, although I just think maybe it was a little too out of what we're used to playing, you know?
Yes. Winston, I don't think, is a particularly common pick for Tony. We've seen him pull it out before, but honestly, maybe bringing back Ball would have worked out. We saw that wasn't necessarily a bad decision earlier, but I think they just need to be more decisive when they make these changes. It needs to happen a little bit faster. They need to recognize, okay, this isn't working. That Reinhardt shield lasted forever. I don't think I've ever seen a Reinhardt shield stay up as long as it did. I think it needed to go
Yeah.
down faster. They needed to. I think they should have kept that Tracer around. Maybe try and get behind him, as we saw Michigan doing for the Terps. It was working out very well. I think Vendetta just was doing too much of a face-on charge. They needed to play a bit more stealthy and work around the fact that Michigan was so focused on their front line.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a big thing. And I felt like they kept trying to make changes, but never kind of found the exact right answer
Yeah.
for some of those bigger problems, especially that Reinhardt. They really didn't ever seem to quite find the right answer. The Zarya was kind of working. And I think right before that switch to Winston and Farah, I think there was potential there.
Do we want to talk about that Farah switch?
Yeah, it's an interesting pick. I mean, Farah, at least you can get away. Here we see that UG clip just one more time because it was great.
It was a good play. It was a good play.
That got them the cap.
100%.
They would have not gotten the cap without that. And I mean, he was the way he played against that 1v1 with the Reinhardt, like definitely very well played and got them that cap. That could have very easily, like, many players could have done the exact same thing and not gotten the cap from it. But he did, and that definitely shows, his level where he is. But yeah, that Reinhardt felt like they'd never really kind of found an answer to. I'm not quite sure
what the answer is.
I don't know if I understand the Farah pick, but I don't know if it was really.
I think it was too late. I think it just came in while the game was already decided. I don't think there was anything to expect. But you know what we can expect? The next map, which is going to be Atlas, which I feel like we don't see too often.
No.
Yeah.
No, we don't. So that's gonna be exciting. A not very common map. But yeah, it's gonna be Flashpoint, of course. I mean,
We lied.
or maybe not.
We'll find out when it's
We'll
on.
find out.
We'll all find out as a
We'll
team.
know all together. Yeah, it'll be a fun experience for all of us. We
Yeah.
can all learn and
like
grow,
a loot box.
grow together, like a loot box.
Yes.
I don't know if the event's still on, but there was an event where you could get free loot boxes for playing the game.
They've been doing good with loot
Yeah.
box distribution, because I know that's been a point of contention for the community, especially a lot of the Overwatch 1 veterans are very they want their loot boxes back.
We love our gambling.
They really do, but I don't know. I never get what I want in a loot box, so maybe I'm
Yeah.
not a gambling fan. I haven't tasted the victory to get addicted quite yet.
Or maybe that's how they get you addicted. You just never get the right thing, so you gotta get more. Although you can't buy loot boxes anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think, but they give you them out. But coming up in this next match, the Terps are definitely taking this reactivity, this adaptability
making
too hard,
some plays.
because we have just learned that they have banned Reinhardt.
That's actually huge.
That's gonna be big. Can be a real difference maker for this match. Vendetta also being banned. It seems that
I don't know if
our
that was
Vendetta
worth
was
it.
maybe a little too pokey. I don't know. I mean, I saw definitely a lot of Vendetta putting the work in, but I don't know if it was so much so that we want to ban this hero outright. I mean, they're not using Vendetta, so
Yeah, why
maybe
not?
that's the thought behind it.
I know that Reinhardt ban is going to hurt, especially one thing I was thinking during that last match is why didn't Tony bring out Ramatra? Even though Ramatra isn't particularly strong in this very moment, Tony, as long as I've been casting here, I've seen him play Ramatra. They go together like bread and oh, this is I jinxed it. Michigan brought out that Ramatra. I love
They're
Ramatra, so I'm
listening.
happy to see him. We're also seeing Emre for Michigan. Is this the first new hero we've? Oh no, besides the Vendetta, but this is the first of the recent set
Of the
that
new
came out.
5, yeah, the
as well
set of
as
5.
Terps having that Emre. I wonder if that's because of the Vendetta ban.
Yeah, that might be where they're changing in. Maybe Emery's going to fit in that Vendetta area. It is exciting to see the Ramatra, despite it being the other time. I mean, that does seem like a bit of a reactionary pick, possibly against the Zarya.
Yeah, I wonder how this is going to work out.
You know, his Nemesis form can pierce through any barricade, including her bubble. So that might have some of motivation with the decision.
I expect to see possibly that Ramatra struggle a bit with the Terps' Tracer, just as we see Michigan's Tracer kind of torturing the poor Terps backline. Again, on Atlas, we always see these corner engagements, though it looks like it is currently in favor of Michigan, successfully managing to scare the Terps out of the main hall. As we're again, it's just this awkward beginning point of every match where no one has an ult yet and we're just trying to get those desperate picks as Tony almost falls, managing to walk out with the help of Klimpaloon and C3. That was dangerous. That would have been a great pick for Michigan.
Yeah, that really could have set the pace for the whole game. The beginning is always very awkward, and on this map it's so just tight and close quarters. But there it goes. The other shoe drops, and here we have
Vortex is gonna.
Yeah.
I didn't think about how dangerous Vortex is going to be for that Lucio, and we've seen Klimpaloon struggling quite a bit today against the enemy Lucio, as luckily managing to take him out with the help of Funny, getting that spray on at the very end. C3 trying to get some picks, helping clean up our Emre. As Terps just need to capture that point. Michigan already getting up to 70%. That Nemesis form again, just saving Ramatra's life in that moment as well with help from Pubsy. Though he's walking away from his supports, I don't know if that was the best decision in the end.
Yeah.
But in times of stress, we're not all working very logically.
What we saw there, though, was really some of the most pure but annoying Ramatra can be. You know, you get him close, he pops that Nemesis form, gets a whole lot of health, and then that blocking too. When he's got that backline, he's nearly unkillable. So walking against that, away from that backline was really pretty detrimental. But here we have that Kiriko rush coming out. Yumish trying to make a play. We see that Emery ult also come out.
Ooh, grab right onto the Ramatra barrier, holding him to his own shield as he brings out that Nemesis form to survive and push into Tony. I think you could have knocked out Tony if you kept trying, Ramatra, bringing out the Annihilation, managing to knock out Emre as the Tracers battle it out on the point. It going in favor of Michigan. Terps still managing to get that 71%. Pretty solid. Catch up, though. First point might be going to Michigan here.
Yeah, that's the thing with Flashpoint is it just moves so fast. You know, the points cap so fast. You really got to be on it. You just got to be moving. There goes the beat.
A wonderful beat from Klimpaloon, not immediately counteracting anything, but allowing the Terps to stay on point a little bit longer. Tony hanging on for dear life with the help of C3 and Lucio. Again, giving a little wave to show how unbothered he is about his near-death experience. Tracers continuing to duke it out upstairs with the Emre as the tanks unfortunately kill Tony down, and first point is going to go to Michigan.
Yeah, there we go. First point towards Michigan. Pretty rough right now. It seems that Michigan is just kind of playing the more dominant game right now. They're making that Ramatra was definitely, I think, a good switch, especially for this first point. So close quarters. You know,
Yes.
that Vortex can really be hard to get away from, especially with that Lucio there. It's really tough, and I think it's really working out for Michigan. So hopefully the Terps are going to have to figure out a strategy to get against it.
Oh, luckily able to knock out that Ramatra, who has, again, been a formidable opponent for the Terps, allowing Tony to just walk into the back line, punch out the Lucio, and the Terps are going to be able to capture the point first, give them the beginning lead as Michigan regroups. Incredible play there.
Yeah.
You really do have to knock out that Ramatra at the very beginning just so Tony can finally have some space to make some moves.
Yeah, no, that's super important with the way that they're playing this team comp, and especially against Azaria. You just need to get rid of him, you know, open it up for everybody else.
Ooh, a grab, almost getting the entire team as that Funny's Pulse manages to get the Tracer and the Lucio as Tony once again punches out that Ramatra, allowing the Terps to walk into their spawn. Emre fleeing for his life. Poor guy. Though they're wisely not going to pursue as we see Ramatra coming back out of spawn, and he is angry.
Yeah, no, the recovery time is pretty fast. No one stays too dead for long in this game mode. But the Terps are definitely finding a good response here. But here we have that Kiriko rush coming out and that Emery ultimate. The Terps are going to have a lot to fight against.
Terps, unfortunately, not having many ults in their own court. They do have that Emre ult, though it can be kind of hit and miss, very literally, as the Terps play this entryway. Hold on just to see what can happen. Maybe try to bait out that Annihilation. I'm excited to see what's going to happen here as we see the Terps Tracer trying to tickle that enemy backline. Oh, here we go. Here comes the push with that boost from Tony. Once again, Tracer Duel helped out by Klimpaloon as UG ults, managing to knock out the enemy Emre as well as Pubsy on Kiriko. And just cleaning up that point, and it's going to go back to the Terps. Michigan managing to get 50%, which is it's not over for them yet.
No, yeah, there's definitely this next fight coming up is going to be the one that decides this point. The Terps making a great fight to keep the point, get it back. Although, resource-wise, it is looking a little tepid, but Michigan is going to decide to take the L on that point and move on to the next one because they do have this ult advantage. They've got 3 ults. The Terps, looking at, they got 1. It's going to be a little bit before 2 and 3.
They're going to have beat before we know it. It is, I do believe that is the slowest generating ult in the game, if I remember correctly, but it already is at 93%. As we see that Ramacho walk onto point, counteracted by the Terps' Kitsune. Unfortunately, C3 being knocked out before he can capitalize on his own ult. Tony knocking out the enemy Tracer with that beat to hopefully survive the Annihilation. Unfortunately, it's not enough for Tony, knocked out by that Emre. Annihilation just pursuing the back line. That Pulse, unfortunately, not finding home on anyone. Are we going to get a boop off? Oh. Annihilation is just, it's a formidable foe.
Yeah, and I think what I did not like to see from the Terps there is it seemed like they just kind of didn't coordinate their ultimates a little too much. You know, it was only after Tony died we saw the beat come out, and at that point you might be considering just looking at the next fight. Yeah, holding on, looking into the next fight. Then I saw that Pulse Bomb go out and not really do too much.
It was,
you know, and at a point like this, especially with having that close first game, this close second game so far, you really need to just be so careful about how you use your ultimates here.
Especially as we see Tony engaging, I believe, on his own. He may have a support behind him. Just, oh, there we go. Okay. Luckily, he is with his Lucio, but you just can't break through that Ramattra. They need more damage output into this tank, as Tony himself is so low that he has to backpedal. Oh, here comes that grab as Tony is so low. Oh, luckily able to knock out the enemy Tracer. Though she's able to get that trade. But it all goes out in favor of the Terps, cleaning up the enemy team. Ramattra is still alive somehow. You just, Nemesis form is a tough cookie to crack.
See, that's the thing. This tank seems to be consistently giving them trouble, especially Ramattra, because you really just got to either get him down before his backline can do anything or get him away from that backline. And the Terps seem to be struggling with that.
We are seeing a D.Va pick maybe for higher mobility to help out his own backline or to get into the enemy backline. I don't know how this is going to play out as we see Emre's ult, unfortunately maybe knocking out Pubsy, I'm not quite sure, as another Annihilation is already ready and popped, coming out with the beat. A beat allowing them to just walk onto the enemy team, though. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, the Terps Emre not even able to knock out that 1 health Ramattra because of that Annihilation. Oh, that's incredibly rough.
Yeah, no, that is definitely rough. Just barely not being able to get him. And, you know, that's the thing is, like, that last interaction, they left him alive. That lets him generate his ultimate. That lets him get it back to it that much quicker. And, you know, his Annihilation has really been a problem. So they really need to try to minimize how often he can really get it.
It was impressive how fast he got it. It did allow Michigan to take that second point. Moving on to the third one. This is my favorite point on this map. As the Terps bring out their Kitsune, hopefully to get that first capture. That's what they need to get onto that point. But, okay, they did manage to capture, but the entirety of Michigan is alive at the moment. We're seeing, again, that these Tracer 1v1s, I don't know if they're always working out in favor of the Terps. Punny does have that pulse. Hopefully it's going to do some damage to that Ramattra, help out his team. I think he's just getting too distracted with those 1v1s. As, speaking of, we see the enemy Lucio knock out Klimpaloon.
Yeah.
D.Va holding on for dear life.
Yeah, Tony with that change on D.Va hopefully might change some things, but it seems that we're a little all over the place right now.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the Terps are kind of all over this point right now, and it seems they might really need to stick together here. Ooh, Tony getting sniped out by that Emery ult.
Yeah, we're missing a lot of the needed cohesion. Like, I feel like I never see the Terps DPS actually playing with the tank and with the supports. Not that they always should. Of course, they should, you know, engage with the enemy backline. But when the main problem seems to be that this tank just won't die, maybe we need to bring in some damage to help out a bit. I don't know what the next play here could be.
Yeah, no, with the current team setup they got and what they're playing against, they really just need to come in with a defined strategy, come in together. Yeah, because otherwise we have things like this, Tony just getting absolutely shredded down. You know, they really need to be just playing together right now.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone necessarily is to blame there. Tony did go in by himself, and he wasn't, and none of his team are with him. As we see C3 himself almost get picked off in his spawn. this point is proving difficult for. Oh, friendship. Oh, just a beautiful little healing moment between teammates. As again, Funny is just on his own adventure. These Tracer 1v1s. And I don't know if this is the same Pulse that we just saw earlier, and he's been holding on to it. We need to see some more decisive plays as Michigan comes out with another Annihilation and another beat. And I think it's just walking into the Terps backline. They're managing to hold on this time as the beat finally comes out and does absolutely nothing, going straight into that barrier as the Lucios are battling over Tracer's head. Hopefully knocking out this Kiriko here. That would be an incredible pick for the Terps. Lucio falling himself to the enemy Tracer.
Yeah, no, a lot of very interesting plays going on. The Terps, Brett, overtime into overtime. Terps currently have the zone, looking to keep them back off. They've got that Ramatra, though. They're really going to have to push him off. Oh, he just, there he goes.
Yes, Tony! Oh, good job, team.
And the point is going to go to the Terps. I got to say, that last interaction on that point was very interesting. There's a lot of things to look at there. First off, I think Michigan knows what strategy is working right now. They threw the beat down and then instantly went to Annihilation. They didn't really even have to, but they knew that this is what takes the Terps down. But they pushed in so aggressively that the Terps just moved on to the point, capped it, and that cost them. Michigan could not get the point back from that. It was very interesting to watch how overly into it so far that they went even farther than the Terps.
Yes.
Like, they lost sight of where they were going. It's very interesting. We're seeing a very interesting match here where Michigan, I feel like we're just seeing a little bit of sloppy play on both sides.
I don't think Michigan adapted their ult strategy to this D.Va, and maybe that's why they didn't account for her mobility, able to get out of that Annihilation immediately, as we see, unfortunately, Michigan winning that Tracer 1v1 as Ramatra knocks out Ugg. And I think the first capture of this third objective is going to go into Michigan as we see Klimpaloon himself fall into, again, that Vortex is very rough on him. It just knocks you out of that wall ride as we see Toby Wan walk into Tony, who is holding on to that D.Va ult, just maybe waiting for when she gets low enough for the need to demech, but it could clear some space here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it come out before she even gets low. As the Terps come in with that Kitsune, Humongous just walk into the back line, knocking out the enemy team as another Annihilation comes out. Luckily, they knock out the enemy Lucio before he can get off his beat. Oh, but it just isn't quite enough. Oh, okay. Ramatra is still alive, just holding on to this corner without his supports. Bringing out that Nemesis form, and they're able to knock him out because he had no one to hold his hand.
Yeah, no, that Annihilation has seemingly been the get-out-of-jail-free card for Michigan, but it seems, finally, it has not worked.
Yeah.
The Terps adjusted very well. I think the D.Va is definitely helping, but they're moving out of it. The only thing is, once they got that Lucia, they got that Tracer, they had the clear advantage. They didn't really focus on that Ramatra. They just kind of let him sit there, and that's what scares me because he's consistently been the problem.
Yes.
I feel like they might just want to get rid of him while they can, you know?
I 100% agree as we see Michigan bring out that Kitsune right onto point, trying to just make space, claim some area, and here comes the D.Va ultimate right on the center of point, forcing everyone to make some space for her as she manages to survive on 15 health with that remech, as unfortunately Michigan knocks out 3 members of the Terps, including both of the supports, and Tony's just going to have to run for his life with Emre.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely a good use. Talk about a get-out-of-jail-free card. We have that right there with that, that D.Va ultimate. I mean, that's often how we see Tony use it, is just, you know, it's great, too.
Oh, perfect mirror Emre ult. Sorry to interrupt as we have a dogfight in the sky. The DPS 1v1 seem to be a trend here as, unfortunately, Michigan knocking out both of the Terps' DPS. And there goes C3 in the very end. And I think this match is going to go to Michigan with the death of Tony.
No, yeah, very decisive end there. No, definitely no problem interrupting me. I mean, we gotta properly commentate that dogfight. That was a crazy moment, I gotta say. Although it unfortunately did not go in the way of the Terps and kind of changed.
Is this going to be this very dogfight?
I think it might be. It was a clean triple, I believe, right there. See?
Oh boy, boom. A triple. Is that still relevant?
Maybe. I'll have to defer to.
We'll get our expert on that.
Yeah, we'll call up the experts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that last interaction, that dogfight, not quite going the way that the Terps
Terps.
wanted it to, and that basically just ended the match for the Terps right there. I mean, they got decimated at that last interaction. As soon as that dogfight was ended, it was just they were put in a position just like once you're taking that fight, that 1v1, you really got to win it because you're putting a lot on the line there. Because you're using probably more resources than you would normally should. I mean, there's risk there, but there's the reward that if you take him down, I mean, that could have really given the Terps that point in the match. But unfortunately, they're not winning the one, and that's going to be another one for the Michigan.
We're seeing a lot of problems with the DPS 1v1s. I think that's and also the Lucio 1v1s. We can add that in there too.
Yeah.
But just and you would think it would go both ways, but I think because we're seeing Michigan just play so cohesively, it's rare that I see any, like, outside of their Tracer, they stay pretty close together. They're holding each other's hands. It's very friendly. But the Terps seem to just be so willing to split from each other, which isn't always a problem, but it's clearly not working when, again, that Ramatra just won't die, when the Reinhardt just won't die. You maybe want your DPS not to be 1v1ing each other in the back alley, but on the point, doing damage into that Nemesis form to help out. I hope we'll see that in the next match.
Yeah, no, I will say sometimes that's been UMD's big strength is being able to move around and unexpectedly catch people. But when it's not working, it's not working, and we need to acknowledge that because I think it's really just not working today. I mean, Michigan has a very
their tank is
a very effective tank. Yes,
unkillable.
He's been quite oppressive, quite the problem that they've been trying to solve, but unfortunately, Michigan has also been adjusting, and it seems the Terps have had some trouble of adjusting fast enough. They've made the changes today, which is good. They've made the changes ASAP, but like really being able to find that team flow that works for them, with these changes, like adjusting to the change, And again, like I just think there's also just a lack of cohesion right now. I think they're playing too much of that all over the place, try to catch them, try to win our ones. And because the ones aren't really being won right now. And Michigan's playing together as a team most of the time, and that's making a big difference, especially because they're playing tanks like Ramatra, where it works really well when they're with a team. They're together. He's basically unkillable when he has his two supports. And Michigan's really leading into that fact, and I think UMD's kind of straying away, and that's what's not
100%.
working here. I think they really need to come in, probably honestly, just a straight, very classic team comp altogether, pushing in one unit, just keep the communication up. I think that could really make a big difference here, and we could really see a nice comeback from UMD. So I really hope to see some kind of change in that vein,
What would your thoughts be on the Terps bringing out an Ana?
That could be interesting. See, what scares me though, Ana, if you're not together, can get dove. Yeah, that Tracer's been effective. That Lucio especially been effective. They got Reinhardt again now. He's not banned anymore, so they could bring him out. They might, or they could bring in some dive tanks. If they bring in a dive comp, I'll be really scared for that Ana. But I do think that if they play together, if the Terps play together cohesively, I think an Ana could really be very effective. I mean, she's just, she doesn't have any mobility, but she can really make up for that, especially when played well.
I'm just thinking of how Michigan, again, huddles together. Just one, I can envision the nade in my mind, just perfectly placed. And even if it does get immediately cleansed, then at least you've used the cleanse cooldown, which we saw in many, many very valuable Suzus throughout this game. Kiriko, again, just consistently the most meta support ever to support. Don't get me started on Kiriko. I will go on for decades. But at least Ana kind of adds an additional pressure to her. Same thing with like characters that add burn, like an Ashe, or I doubt we'll ever see an Onron at this level, but something that just forces the Suzu to be utilized. We're not right now. Suzu is free to be used whenever either team wants. There isn't necessarily an ability, like maybe Vortex you could argue, but I didn't see many here. But I don't know. I think just another what's the term? Debuff.
Yeah.
To make that Suzu have a bit more complex of
Yeah.
a play.
Yeah, something to put pressure on that Kiriko
Yes.
that at this point kind of becomes and has been, because she's been so dominant ever since she came out, kind of like a given
Yeah.
in a match. You know, taking that away, they're not used to playing without just being able to freely throw their Suzu. So it would really put some nice pressure, put them in a position they might have not practiced that much.
Yeah.
And you know that grouping up was another good point. Because I mean, remember that Grav on the points that we the point that we did win, like they grouped up. We got that first team fight, and then the second one, boom. Hello, Mr. Shark. We are Blizz World.
I like him.
Yeah. Shout out to the Shark. Always great. Shout out to
Winston.
you can play or at least you used to be able to sometimes during the event you can play prop hunt.
Yeah, you could be the shark. Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
you
there's only one shark on the map, so it's the
Yeah.
worst prop to hide as. I'm a firm
Or the
believer of
best.
box.
I'd like to be in the chair and then like locking myself on top of a roof.
Ooh, so you're kind of
Yeah,
scummy.
yeah. Meta. I play the meta.
We're seeing a Brig come out from Michigan. Oh, an Ana!
And Ana, wow.
I'm psychic. We're also seeing an Alari, which is kind of insane. I don't know how well that pylon is going to work out, though there's a lot of little corners you can put it in Blizz World. Again, we're also seeing a Brig from Michigan. Terps having no Kiriko. I think this is a first ever.
And we've got that Winton as well.
Going into a Diva, which isn't the worst matchup for the Terps here, but I've yet to see how Toby plays his Diva. Already incredibly low, getting healed up by that Alari in the back line. Again, the awkward early stages, the toddler years of an Overwatch game where you're just kind of, almost a great pick from C3 onto that, I think that was Sojourn there. As Winston just keeps jumping up into that, he died. It doesn't matter anyway. But as, Terps are on the point, able to capture as everyone was distracted with the Monkey Diva diving onto that Sojourn, getting that little health pack, as Ana is somehow still alive. I don't know how they haven't picked her off yet. Sojourn successful.
Ooh.
Oh, and there goes Ana.
Unfortunate right there. But yeah, I mean, Ana is staying alive for quite a long time, and I mean, that's what I was saying, is as long as you can keep her alive, she can do a lot of great stuff. You know, this is also our first game mode here that's offense defense. You know, not two people fighting for the same point. Like they're on offense right now, so we're seeing a bit of a switch up. They're bringing Brig out for that Alari. So we're gonna have that mirror Brig matchup. Looks like the Terps are definitely changing things up as much as they can.
Yeah, I think they've realized that the sooner you make a decisive decision, the more likely it will work out for you in the end. As we're waiting on these engagements, the Terps coming up on that Pulse Bomb as Brig for you, Michigan. Look at a great nade going onto that Brig and that Diva. I don't think getting cleansed. I think they just had to naturally wait that out. No one up there with that Winston. Here he goes. Helping with that Tracer to get him out. I'm getting lost. The Tracer 1v1s are so messy. I keep getting confused with who's winning, as Funny gets knocked out in the end by Diva, who we just saw get cleansed of. Suzu went out well after that nade, so there's going to be a cooldown deficit there, as Michigan is coming up on 3 ultimates, so I don't know how well this is going to work out. As, here comes the Sojourn ultimate from Michigan. Oh, never mind. I'm confused. Everyone's dead. Terps have passed away.
Yeah. Right now, the current Terps team comp seems to be good enough to... Oh, there goes more. Really a lot of pressure, Michigan being so far into the Terps line. But yeah, the Terps team comp seems
Rough?
effective. It's enough that they can have a firefight, but they're not really breaking through the defenses right now. And with those ultimates coming out, it's going to be a big thing. I mean, UMD has a lot of ults. They might come in, do a pretty coordinated play. Here we see Tony bringing the Winston ult out, pushing people back.
The entire team distracted as the Terps follow in behind him. I was a little worried there because the Terps don't really have anyone who has the mobility to follow Tony that deep very effectively, as Pubsy comes in with that Kitsune. Diva managing to get demeched without a chance to explode as another Brig ultimate comes out. I didn't realize how fast that would charge. Terps just kind of holding this corner in these final 20 seconds, hoping to capture in the very end. Tony putting in the pressure onto this Brig, getting knocked out, going right back to his team, get some heals, eat a little nade. as they just, oh, it seems like the strategy is just one by one by one. Tony will jump in, knock someone out, come right back out. As here he goes. Oh, unfortunately, D.Va has made it all the way back to point. We have 1 second left. Are the Terps going to be able to capture at all here?
Yeah, no, the Terps definitely using a strategy of, we don't have to take you down, we just got to keep you off the point.
Yes.
And right now it's working out. Although we're in overtime, they're going to have to really stay focused, locked in, use all their resources. We see that Brig all coming out.
Good pick, good pick. Klimpaloon onto the enemy Brig as Funi finally wins a 1v1 against the enemy Tracer. Terps holding their own against the Sojourn and D.Va, and they are able to capture the first point as Pupsy just kind of has to run away, though not without taking Funny out with her.
Yeah, the Terps able to stay alive just a little bit longer. Now they've got to take this payload quite amount of distance, but it does seem that, like I said earlier, their adjustment to the change takes a bit, and it seems like they're adjusting, they're figuring out, they're getting this team comp down, and they're starting to find something that's working out a little bit. And again, yeah, this game mode, I mean, you don't necessarily have to take everybody down. You just need to push this payload further. And it seems to be that's where their focus is, which is definitely a good place.
I'm a little nervous for Winston here at this specific point because the line of sight is definitely a little bit more difficult for something like an Ana. But we'll see how it works out in the end. Tony has been able to jump back to the Ana pretty directly, so hopefully it'll be okay as we see him again trying to tickle the D.Va on the high ground. Everyone just passively waiting for the next fight. Here comes the Nano right onto Tony. I maybe would have saved that for when he was a little bit lower as the nade goes in to heal him up. Oh, leaving D.Va just a buffet in the back line, getting knocked out by that Brig, having to go retreat into the high ground as her entire team is in that little closet with the gorilla. Oh, as we see the Terps slowly push. I think D.Va needs to go help her team. Terps have learned to successfully divide and conquer Michigan, and it's working out for them.
Yeah, no, what I noticed there was definitely a really great usage of space. That Nano Tony pushed forward, took down that Sojourn, and then was able to push the rest of Yumish into that little corridor there. One, keeping them off the payload, and two, keeping them in a close range area, easy to take down all in one group. So definitely great adjustments by the Terps here.
A beautiful nade onto that D.Va. I just love a good nade. Not getting cleansed as the Terps make it all the way into the second point. Both Brigs fighting each other at the end. Unfortunately, Klimpaloon falling, not able to heal his team as another nade comes out. So Tony can just beat into the team. He maybe wants to help his Ana out. No, he's just going to leave her high and dry to the enemy Tracer, as you were mentioning before. Especially at this second point where, again, it's a lot more difficult for Winston to get back and help out Ana on this Tracer. We might want to see Funny maybe playing bodyguard a bit for Klimpaloon here. I mean, C3.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult to properly use this team comp on this side because it's very long and there's a lot of different areas for Winston to get out of that line of sight.
As we see right now, he's just completely separate from his Ana, unable to be healed as Ana has to do what she can. Again, here comes the explosion coming out as Tony lingers on the point. A great pulse going right onto that D.Va, making her incredibly low as the Terps do their best in this overtime moment to fight for the final push. Another nade going out, unfortunately not finding home on anyone as Tony desperately holds this point as D.Va is doing a great job just kind of staying on the payload. They can't knock her off. Come on, Klimpaloon, boop her so you can get that final 2.9 centimeters of distance. Tony bringing out the Winston outrage. Again, trying to just knock anybody off that he can, but they just keep coming back onto the point. The entirety of Michigan is alive in this moment, and the Terps are just falling one by one, and unfortunately, they're not going to be able to get that final 3 meters.
Yeah, just absolute chaos at the end there. I mean, we saw that fight just go back and forth and back and forth. I gotta say, the Ana-Winston combo for a lot of that fight was actually working out really well. I saw that Nano go out. Tony dove real hard, almost died. Ana came in and hit every single shot to keep Tony alive.
Good
every
nades.
single shot, you know, when the pressure was on, you know, was able to hit it. Good nades as well. And in the end there, that really, I mean, it didn't end up going the Terps' way, but them playing together like that gave a lot of more time for them to try to get something, although it didn't work out. The resources, in situations like that, the resources are just so vital, and that really ends up making the difference when you're at this kind of stalemate, and we saw that with Michigan. They got to their ults a lot faster, and were able to just kind of wipe out UMD once they reached that. But there's definitely enough space for the Terps to defend.
100%.
You know, they
Never
have to
give
cap.
up.
They have to get pretty much all the way to that checkpoint. So it's definitely a match that can still be fought.
Friendship. Oh, I love the wave feature. I'm such a sucker for just being able to say hello to your buddies. But we're seeing both teams again not trying anything new with the comps, even despite it switching to now Michigan on offense. So we'll see how this D.Va works out. I imagine it'll be pretty okay. She can quickly get onto the high ground, knock off the Brig, again, already scaring Ana down onto the ground. And it's just pushing, again, Terps are just forced to back up. Tony already almost dying, unfortunately, as Michigan just walks forward with no context. The Terps DPS are nowhere to be found at the moment. Oh, actually, I think there's a Tracer 1v1 going on in the periphery. As an incredible nade goes right onto that D.Va. And I believe her Brig as well. Tony holding this angle as, luckily going to help his team. It's always good to see when they actually help out the supports getting dived. As Klimpaloon unfortunately falls in this very moment because Tony was MIA, I think.
Yeah, he's stuck down there, fighting his own fight, not able to take care of that D.Va, diving his back line. You know,
where are the Terps DPS?
You know, right now we're again lacking a little bit of that cohesion, and this is such a vital part where they need to, you know, they got a decent amount of distance, but not a crazy amount. They really need to be focused, and they need to play well to keep Michigan back here as much as they can.
Oh, unfortunately, Michigan already able to cap and have 5 minutes, where I think the Terps had maybe 2.
Yeah, the Terps had like 2 minutes, maybe 2:10.
And they're so staggered with, unfortunately, C3 getting knocked out. They're going to have to wait for him because he's their primary support here. Klimpaloon can do some good healing, but not at the same level this Ana can. Tony has to play it really safe as he's just kind of feeding this Sojourn. He's such a wide target. Luckily, she does have to duck out. Tony diving in, but he doesn't have his team. Is he going to be able to get back out in time? I think they might need a more mobile support to join him at these moments, or he maybe a DPS that is playing with him more closely. We do see Funi here, Funny, doing what he can, but again, it's the Tracer 1v1s I think are really doing us in.
Yeah. I do think that they might need, I agree, they might need a little bit of a mobile support. Like right now, time is of the essence. They really need to be able to react super fast and make sure that they keep this progress to a minimum because they've got to sustain winning fights for 4 minutes.
Oh, unfortunately, we're seeing C3 get dived by that D.Va, but Tony has to fight his own battles. Oh, Phony getting knocked out in the end. Oh, a great outrage coming from Tony here, managing to knock out the enemy Sojourn, help out his Brig with that Tracer. But D.Va is following him every step of the way. But luckily Lightning just goes right through that force. What's the
defense matrix?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, that is definitely a great advantage of having Winston against a D.Va. Unfortunately, UMich able to make a lot of progress, and they do have a support ultimate where the Terps do not have one. That might be a big key difference maker in this next fight coming up. And then Michigan is able to at least get some steady progress as well. The Terps are really going to have to play very tightly and very well in this next coming 3 minutes.
I think what they need to, they can't let the payload get under this bridge. I think once they lose that opportunity, like this specific point of high ground that we see Ana on is incredible. It allows her to get a clear shot. It allows an easy response from Winston. Again, see, we just saw that immediate wipe up because Ana had such an incredible positioning there. And she goes right back to her spot. That will get dived by D.Va, as we'll see. But once the payload goes under that bridge, I think it's over.
Yeah, no, it'll really mean that they can't really keep that Ana because it's just such a... There goes that dive that you said was going to happen right there. But yeah, that is such an impressive sight line. They're using that nano, try to just go really forward, stop them before they can really get anywhere. And it seems to be working out pretty well here.
Oh, see, but once we're seeing Funny and Tony work together here, they just kind of clean it up. Funny going right into the back as Winston charges straight through, and they just can't do anything to his barrier. Teamwork is the dream.
Yeah. Tony able to get back to his ultimate really fast here. The Terps definitely also keeping a great eye on their resources on their ultimates right now. I mean, a great part of using those ultimates when they did earlier to just keep them at their spawn was to stop them from generating. Here we see that Kitsune rush coming out.
Oh, but getting slept, canceling out that D.Va dive far into the backline, but C3 just getting pressured by that D.Va, but she seems to be unable to ever finish him off. He's just slippery enough as Winston manages to de-mech her and force her out into the rest of her team as he can, again, once again escape. I feel like, did they shorten the cooldown of jump? I feel like he's able to get out so quickly.
Yeah, no, he's definitely been jumping quite a lot, but UMD overall right now making great use of their resources. I mean, they played against that Kitsune race, that Kitsune rush really well there. I mean, they had the perfect sleep to get that diving D.Va and that anti. There goes a pulse bomb for not much. That might be a big loss there, because these ultimates are really going to be making the difference of can they continue for another minute or not.
We are seeing Michigan switch their D.Va out. Oh, never mind. Their D.Va was very, very briefly a Winston. He was immediately knocked out by the Sojourn, but I feel like they didn't like that. As again, a humongous nade coming out, forcing out that Suzu, again, disrupting the cooldowns there as Tony just blocks this entire stairway. D.Va can't do anything but walk backwards as her team is nowhere to be found, fighting their own fight against UG with his Sojourn ultimate. Again, these Winston barriers are just really, really challenging for Michigan here, but I don't know what they could do to swap, because you need that mobility of D.Va, but she can't combat these barriers.
Yeah, I think the only thing that UMich can really count on is having those ultimates make the difference, having those resources make the difference. But right now, the Terps absolutely doing an amazing job of countering them. They make sure they have something in response always, and it's working out really well. They're keeping them off. We're moving into overtime right now. Will there even be overtime?
Oh, Tony
maybe a little bit.
Dying. Though I think
Yeah, Tony falling might be a big thing here. The D.Va, it looks like they're going to get some progress, but hopefully the Terps are going to be able to regroup.
Oh, no.
Ooh, the C3 getting taken down. That might change the whole fight there, having that nano.
That actually might have ruined everything, because now that C3 stagger. Though Tony will be able to come back out with Jetpack Cat. Tony, okay, he does have outrage, so he's going to be able to hold. Oh, the Jetpack Cat to bring Ana right back onto point. Get that nano out. Great play.
Wow.
It wasn't really needed in the end, but
Yeah.
the vision was there, and I think it helped a lot.
Bit of a Charlie Niner from that D.Va there, but yeah, wow, that Jetpack Cat, a great pick, a great move. Just boom, get Ana in there, because at that point the nano, the sleep, the anti-grenade, that's really what matters. UMich's Brig getting a nice play of the game here. This was very early in the game, right at the start, just taking them all down. But yeah, ultimately, a good game.
Yeah.
A good game overall. A great game played by UMD. Really, that end there was kind of very magnificent to watch. UMD just coming in, playing, like I said, they needed to play tightly and consistently, and they weren't at first. They let that cap, they let some distance happen, but then they really kind of locked in, and they figured out that team comp that they were playing, how to play it against UMich's team comp, and it worked out really well. The Tony Ana dynamic just ended up shutting absolutely everything down. You know, they really figured out how to deal with that D.Va, deal with that diving, and especially the greatest thing I saw is they were so conscious of those ultimates, of those resources. Like, that's what makes the difference of these tight fights, these really, like, close stuff. I mean, especially you saw at the end there, it was so close, but they were able to get their Ana out there quickly, get the ults out. Because if you know, overextend just a little bit in the ultimates, you're giving that much more of an advantage, you know? And so they were making sure they were keeping pretty consistent with UMich. You know, if UMich did something, they would make sure they had something to respond with. And they wouldn't respond with absolutely everything. They would respond with something appropriate, something that could take care of it without losing too much value. I mean, there was some, you know, some bad habits. There were some moments, you know.
Tracer 1v1s, man.
Yeah. And
But
the pulse
that's
bombs,
on both sides.
The pulse bombs seem to just kind of be
They're hard
going
to hit.
out.
They're hard to hit. They could be a little tricky. Yes, that one on the Brig, I think if there was a little bit more thought, it could have landed on that Brig. But sometimes you need to miss for style, you know, to like prove that you're still human and the fact that all of your other skill is just, you know, that's what it is. It's skill. It's not luck. It's because you have flaws, it proves that you're a person and you've earned all of your abilities. This is a reminder that this is a best of 5. So this is very important that the Terps won this one, because otherwise it would have been...
That would have been it. So, we're continuing on.
Excited.
Yeah, definitely very, very important win from the Terps because
They need that one.
you can't fight to win if you lost.
Whoa.
Deep,
Whoa.
right? That's crazy.
Putting that on my tombstone.
Yeah, you're welcome. You guys can use that however you want. That's a freebie for you guys. The next one might cost a little bit though. But yeah, we're moving on to the Overwatch map, Joe Overwatch, Watch Point Gibraltar, the classic full payload push. Winston's home.
I feel like we also... No, that's the lunar colony.
Okay, so he was born, he lived there, right? Okay, lore, but he lives in Watch Point Gibraltar. In that opening cinematic that used to always play anytime you open the game, and it was like, I've seen this a billion times, I don't need to keep seeing this. He would be in Watch Point Gibraltar.
I think he's willing. You can acknowledge that he maybe has a multitude of identities. Like he identifies both. I feel like
we're losing what we're talking about here. We're losing the plot.
He identifies as both an immigrant to Gibraltar and as well as a native of the lunar colony.
He didn't even like the lunar colonies.
Okay.
Because they abused him.
But he's still from.
Yeah, but like he lives currently in Watch Point Gibraltar.
Okay. Well, you know who's banned?
Who?
Sojourn.
Sojourn? What are we gonna do?
And you know
Sojourn and Kiriko?
Kiriko. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Wow.
I'm actually so excited.
We're gonna see a crazy match. We're gonna
so
see random heroes. I mean, we've been seeing a lot more dynamic amounts of heroes than normal.
Than normal, I would say. But nothing too. We haven't seen anything.
Nothing like. Oh
nothing
my
unmeta.
god, this is so off meta. But
I want a Junker
We've
Queen.
seen some things that aren't very typical. Yeah, Junker Queen would be cool. I mean, there was a chance there in Flashpoint.
But no Kiriko means your Junker Queen can just reign supreme. So come on, guys. You brought Ana for me. You brought Ramatra for me. Bring Junker Queen for me. I know you can hear me. I know you're all watching the stream and listening to what I have to say specifically. So please.
Yeah. If they're taking orders,
no.
Can I get? You know what? I'm fine. I like Hampton.
Can I get a?
Winton's cool too. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, they don't like you.
No, I mean I didn't ask. I didn't specifically ask. Can we get who's a character that's like kooky? Yeah, Sigma. Give me Sigma.
Wait, unironically, can we get a Sigma, please? Come on, guys.
If you're listening,
come on.
you Mish, are you in
mirrors. here? Let's do Sigma mirrors, guys. I am just so excited to see this next match. I do love this map. I'm excited to see this Ashe play as we immediately see. Okay, so the Terps are on offense here again. Tony just clearing out that high ground as once again awkward baby stages. The burn is going to hurt. There's no Kiriko to clear these burns. I'm so pumped that there's going to be no Kiriko. I hate her as Tony already dies to the enemy Tracer. This is a bit more of a rough map in terms of sightlines for this Ana, especially since, again, as we saw, Tony can't get back to her as quickly.
Yeah. The sightlines are going to be a little rough, but I see both teams really want to take advantage of this no Kiriko. They really are. They very clearly are. That's why there's an Ashe here. That's why they're both playing Ana. But I think the Terps are really just going to... It's the awkward stages right now. They really just need to find their footing as fast as they can and make a statement with this match.
Oh, Tony almost knocking out the enemy Ana. He himself getting incredibly low, having to run and get some help from C3. Oh, what a cute little angle. I like that. The Terps are just in this hallway together, but you know what I like to really see? This Emre with them. They're all holding hands. We have a support, we have a DPS, we have the tank all together, and it worked out in the end. Funny did win that Tracer 1v1, unfortunately getting cleaned up in the end by Toby1.
Yeah, but we do see them be a little more together, which is nice, which is what we wanted. I am still a little fearful of that Ana. It was a little hard for Tony to get back there when he was real low. And, he might be moving at a pace a little faster than Ana can keep up with. But here comes that Nano.
Oh, getting a great boop from that Brig there, preventing that full dive. Unfortunately, she does fall to Well, I guess fortunately for us, falls to Tony as he walks back to get that 1v1 with Obi-Wan, or Toby-Wan, Kenobi. And he's going to be able to knock out. Oh, never mind. I jinxed it. I gotta stop saying things before they happen. As the Ashe comes in, hiding in that little hallway. Tony just sitting and getting his heels from. Oh, whoa! What is this other Winston doing? He's just waiting to get the jump onto our back line as Tony knocks out the enemy Ashe, gets slept by Pupsy, who has been a very consistently good support for Michigan. We got to give some credit where it's due. As there's a stun and a boop as another pulse comes out. It looks like everyone pressed Q at some point in the last couple of seconds. Coming up soon on another break ult from the Terps as UG falls. I'm just waiting for this to end, honestly.
It's been a very chaotic sequence here. Everything going on, every resource being used, getting up to this first checkpoint. Although it looks like the Terps are getting pushed back a little bit. Although what I have been noticing is they've been paying a little bit more attention to UMich. They've been paying attention to them being grouped up more, or, you know, playing with this dive Winston, them kind of not protecting their backline as much. And that's where they got a lot of these.
Ooh, a good ult coming out from UG, managing to clean up that Tracer, but the Bob, a very smart Bob, able to auto-target anything in the sky. Oh, never mind, I actually don't know where he is. Was he...
Oh, the Bob getting misplaced a little bit by accident. See, that's the thing with this map is it's
rough.
It's rough. The sight lines are a little tough. It's very cluttered. As you saw, that Bob ran all the way back to the caverns and to never be seen again, essentially.
Rest in peace, Bob. As we see this, it looks like everyone's just kind of trading backline for backline. The Winstons will go in on each other's, and the Briggs just are knocking it back. Another nano coming out from the Terps right onto Tony. That seems to be a very solid choice, trying to knock out the enemy supports. Going in on that Ana, in on that Ashe. Oh, I didn't even realize he had that outrage ready. Just cleaning up everyone. But where is Michigan? Their Winston was long dead, I guess. Oh no, he was knocked out by that pulse bomb.
A great clean play by Tony there. And what I noticed earlier with that first nano was they were all grouped up. They noticed that, threw that nano, moved in there. Same thing happened. They threw that nano, and it worked out again. They're definitely learning the strategies, learning how to play against UMich, and it is making changes. It is working out, and it is causing, you know, UMD to be able to just push this payload along.
As we saw Tony just holding that doorway, preventing the entirety of Michigan from going in to help their tank, leading to his death. And I think Tony's just going to be able to clean up everyone else. It almost feels like that was a waste of a Brig ult. You know, what were you going to do there when they had already deleted your tank, as Tony just used his sheer bulk to block the doorway? I think we're going to need to see some switches coming out from Michigan. Their Winston just isn't able to respond fast enough to help out his backline. Yeah,
no, UMD has definitely seen how they play with this Winston lineup, and I think, you know, they've really adjusted to it, and it's not really working for UMich. And I mean, that Brig ult, you know, was a little bit of a panic here. It seems that UMich might be losing some of that composure as they start to not be able to effectively counter UMD as much.
We are seeing a contentious battle against Toby1 on the top, bringing out a UMD's Brig ult. Though again, it's working. Oh, it looks like Toby1 is doing exactly what Tony did just minutes before, but it's working out much better for the Terps. As the nano comes out, I think just a bit too late. It's not going to be enough to keep this Winston alive, as now the entirety of the team is upon him. He is going to be able to escape in these final moments, but not without... Oh, never mind. All of the Terps falling. Besides Tony, he's just healing. He managed to run away at least. Didn't stagger.
But what I am noticing is what we talked about earlier is it seems like UMD didn't have as much cohesion, but now they're having some more of that cohesion, and I'm seeing a bit less of it from UMich. You know, so there's some interesting tide changes going on here. I mean, UMD has a great amount of progress so far, has a decent amount of time left. They're in a great position right now.
Oh, did you see that mace?
Yeah.
That was a good mace, saving their team member. Though I guess it was for Michigan, so maybe I shouldn't be too happy about that. As Tony just has to back up. He wasn't able to save C3 in that moment.
See, this is the one thing that I see sometimes when UMD starts to do better is sometimes they really want to capitalize it, like a little too much.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing there is Tony's forward. He got countered, and they noticed that and took out two of the more squishy characters and also some of the more impactful characters on UMD's backline there.
I hope we see some switches soon. I guess maybe once this ult, these ults are once all used up, we're going to see those last minute switch. It wouldn't be surprised if a ball comes out in the end, maybe another jetpack cap. As the Emre ult from doesn't manage to kill anyone, in fact leading to his death, but it did a good chunk of damage, allowing Tony to capitalize and make some space here, though he has to back up. It just isn't quite enough. Oh, it's because he doesn't have Klimpaloon in this moment, doesn't have that Brig to have that, again, supplemental healing. It's just, another Winston ult coming out from Michigan. Oh, what? Oh, no, that was Tony. I'm sorry, I saw blue. Michigan does have their Winston ult, and they're saving it for themselves. Tony just getting out of that back line. I don't know if this is going to work out. Michigan is coming up on 4 ults, already using the Brig. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I don't see this working out.
Yeah, and with 20 seconds left and a real lack of resources here, that seemed to have been UMD's real final push right there, and it didn't seem to quite work out. It created some good distance, but it didn't quite achieve anything too concrete. You know, UMich was able to recover, run away. Here we see their Emery come out, and UMD is just dropping like flies right now.
Poor Tony.
Yeah, Tony waving goodbye.
Hello.
As it seems, he knows that this round is sort of over. But a good performance overall by UMD. They're able to get
It's a good push. It was a good
2
push.
points and pretty close to the final point there. So definitely a good run to have. I mean, better than what they had last round, and they
Definitely.
defended last round. So I think UMD is definitely in a good position as long as they're able to just keep UMich there. I mean, UMich definitely has a lot to fight, fight up against. They gotta make it quite the distance there.
We saw no switches from UMD that entire game.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting. I mean, I get it for the most part. UMD, it was working for them. You know, for a while there, it was just like after that first awkward section, they just kind of started winning every fight. But then, again, at a certain point, once we got close enough to UMich's spawn, they started losing again, and they really couldn't find any distance, and couldn't really find, you know, the way to get through the line that UMich set, you know? So maybe at that point is when you start thinking about switching things around, especially as your ultimates. There was points there where they didn't really have any ultimates, and they could have afforded a switch, but they didn't really. So I think that's definitely something they got to think about. I mean, moving into this, they're playing defense now. You know, they're going to have to keep a pretty tight strategy. I mean, as long as they hold UMich to a fight or two, they should be able to be fine. They've given themselves a lot of leeway. UMich is really going to have to hit the ground running.
We are seeing another almost there's the perfect mirror. Switching out the Symmetra back into a Tracer. As again, we just have to kind of wait out these awkward first engagement moments as everyone waits for the ults to build up, tries to desperately get those picks. The Winston on Winston fight, forcing Tony to retreat to the safety of his supports. But Toby1 is following through because C3 gets knocked out by that Emre. And without C3, they all just kind of have to walk away, it seems. He's very vital to this team comp. As we see the Terps Emre himself almost get completely wiped.
Yeah, you know, UMich definitely did not start the round playing around. You know, they're coming in strong and very aggressive, and it worked out for them earlier. Maybe a little too aggressive for this right moment right now. But earlier we saw that. I think it was map 2. They came out super aggressive one of the rounds and just got the point like that. You know, so they knew a strategy that worked and they used it, and it's getting them really close to this checkpoint. Although it's starting to be a little too much, you know, a little too forward. And UMD has always been good at this, of just when that line tilts to just being a little too much, pushing it a little too far, UMD can really recognize that and take that down. We just saw that there. But UMich able to get a whole lot of progress, especially, I mean, you know, it's a tough position they're in. They got 2.5 minutes, and they've got to make it to at least this checkpoint and then some.
Ooh, good pick, though, coming out from Michigan's Tracer onto C3. As we've seen, once C3 falls, the rest of the team is soon to follow. It takes him a while to walk all the way back, especially without his jetpack cat there to help him. But Tony holding his own, clearing up that high ground the best he can as the Brig tries to keep that Tracer away from the point. But it looks like Michigan is probably going to be able to cap here. Oh, never mind. C3 coming out with that nano at the very last second, allowing Tony to stand on the point, hopefully knock out this Emre right here. He also was coming up in on his outrage. Oh, speaking of, here comes Michigan's very own Winston, already very low, but his nano is ready. Oh, and he's able to knock out both of the Terp supports, leaving Tony high and dry, but has his ultimate. He's able to hold on a bit longer. Hopefully his team can walk back with him, or at least he'll take some time. Emre having to hide through this doorway, hopefully not get picked off by... Oh, don't careful about that point. Oh, we have another Emre ult coming out from Michigan. Oh, Tony just sitting in the safety of his bubble. As we just got fighting all around the point. It seems Tony doing his best to sit and make sure it doesn't move an inch as his team finally comes back and he can get the healing he desperately needed.
Yeah, a fight very reminiscent of how the Terps won this checkpoint when they were on offense. It was just ultimate after ultimate, one after the other.
Yep.
Fight going on for so long. I gotta say, Tony, great countering. We see Funny out here just hiding back there, watching.
I just really like the Winston to conserve his leap using the little staircase is very cute to me. As the Brig comes out from Michigan, ready to ult, unfortunately getting shot right out of the sky before he can get any use out of that Emre ultimate. Ana doing her best to keep the Terps monkey alive, though the high ground is just consistently being bombarded by the apes. As C3 is doing his... It seems to be a game of just whose Ana can run away faster, you know?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Once you play an Ana on your team comp, I mean, that just becomes such an essential part of your support. And, you know, it takes her a while to get back there. It's hard for her to get out of these dangerous situations. You really got to be careful about that because it really is that big of a deal having your Ana get taken down. And I mean, Yumish able to get that checkpoint because of it, you know?
I love when we see a Winston dive and he just does that awkward moment where he makes direct eye contact with you and stands in front of you and electrocutes you. As we see, again, the high ground just a point of contention for both teams as Klimpaloon unfortunately gets blown to smithereens. Tony doing his best to knock out that Brig, and here their Ana is soon to follow. I don't... did he need to use that ult? Could he have saved it a bit longer? I guess he didn't have his supports with him in that very moment. Hunting down that Emre, knocking him out, leading to a pretty healthy stagger for the team of Michigan. And yeah, Tony just kind of wiped that up by himself while the Terps were struggling with the Tracer in the back line.
Some really great plays by Tony there. Here we can see on the replay, he pops that ult, he takes care of that Emery after taking care of, I believe it was the Brig.
Yes.
Yeah, really just clean plays by Tony, and then taking that 1v1 right after with the enemy Winston, and still almost winning it, but jumping back just to make sure he doesn't overextend. Great play by Tony, really keeping them there. Stopping them here is definitely going to be really essential, keeping that time pressure.
A good nano from Michigan onto their Winston to hopefully, again, clear out this high ground that is giving the Terps a resounding lead as the Emre comes out trying to pressure Tony and managing to kill him. Actually, the entirety of the Terps falling. Oh, we're seeing the break finally switch into a Lucio. I was wondering when the Lucio was going to come out. We need, I think, someone to just hold Tony's hand, help him out with those dives, and be able to help him get out, get in, go to... Oh, never mind. I jinxed it. We are back on Brig. I don't like that. But I'm not the professional.
Yeah, you know, it seems like now could be a good time to have a bit of that change, a bit of that swap, because right now Yumish is in a precarious position. You know, they're getting pretty close to that final point here.
And the Terps do need to win this.
Yeah, this is for the game right here. If the Terps lose this, that'll be the game. So they really need to make sure they hold them here. I mean, it's only 2 minutes, but still, anything can happen within these 2 minutes.
I love just this shot of everyone in the high ground as Tony is fighting for his life on the front lines like a veteran. Emre just staring into the distance, though they're now getting dived by their very own monkey. It seems like you're dropping off the apes at daycare. They're just kind of disappearing into the enemy backline, and you have to do your best to hold your own. But I think the Terps just aren't able to survive this enemy Winston at this very moment. Unfortunately, Funny falling. Tony managing to knock out the enemy Brig, almost getting the enemy Tracer, though that recall saving her at the very end. They still have the point, and they have good ults.
Yeah, they have good ultimates. I got to point out earlier, we saw a great sleep by C3. He was able to sleep that Winston mid-ult, keeping himself alive, helping take the Winston down, which helps start knocking those dominoes down for the Terps. And here we see those ults come out.
A nano going on to Emre, I think, for the first time, and it seems to be working out. He was able to take out the Brig, do some healthy damage onto the enemy, Ana. And in these final 30 seconds, is Michigan going to be able to touch once again? I don't know. They don't have...
They do have a nano,
but he's not going to go to the
does
point.
have the outrage.
Oh. These Brig boops are doing a lot of work here on keeping the backline safe. Tony just going in on this Ana, doing his best to take out who he can while his team hopefully holds that point. Oh, someone needs to touch. Someone really needs to touch. Okay, Tony able to touch while his team is fighting for their life in the background.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of UMD just getting taken down, although they're trying their best to stay alive, but that will be it. A real unfortunate ending there. UMich taking the game 3-1. That will be our match for tonight.
It was a good showing. It was a good showing. I do think, especially in this final match, we needed to see some swaps for just better mobility. Like, we needed people who would be willing to dive with that Winston. Like, I'm trying to think. Without Kiriko, it is a bit rough, but just someone who will follow through and make... Because the Ana is the main source of healing here, right?
Yeah,
but when she's distracted by a Winston diving her, you can't expect heals. And I don't think he did, to be fair. But they maybe needed something to work with that there. I don't know.
Yeah, you could definitely notice at the times that they struggled to keep that Ana alive is the times where they started to, lose fights. That last fight there, as soon as I saw that Ana C3 die in that kill feed, I knew that it was likely that we started watching, that we were going to start watching a lot of people fall, and that's what happened, because she just puts out such a great output, and, you kind of build that team comp around her a bit, especially with what supports you pick, and I just think that, it was a little hard for them to keep the level of support they needed to that Ana, the level of protection that they needed at all times. Especially with that diving Winston, it's just hard to get back sometimes. And again, also with him receiving heals, it's hard for him to have that line of sight, especially 100%. On Gibraltar, or to get back to have that line of sight. It's, it's tough, and I think they just were kind of lacking a little bit in that category. I think some of it kind of goes into that cohesion we were talking about. I feel like they just... I wasn't seeing as much team play as I've been accustomed to with the Terps, and I wasn't seeing as much just, I think, awareness, not as much communication. I'm sure they're communicating, but I think it's, just having that instinct, playing with people for so long, you're like, oh, he needs something, he's going to need something soon, just knowing that. And I think, those little aspects were kind of missing, and and definitely at points earlier in the match, the overall team cohesion was struggling.
I was wondering where, because on Blizzard World, we saw a lot of amazing plays where Tony would dive in, get that one pick, and immediately come out and help his team from the Diva dive. And it was really beautiful to watch. You just saw, cohesion. It was teamwork in its purest form, and you didn't see that here. And to be fair, it was a different setting. It's very difficult, because Tony needs to get those picks. His team just simply wasn't able to get those picks, get into that backline like he was able to. But they also weren't able to withstand the Winston. So something fundamental needed to change. Yeah. And whether that just be they needed to play more densely together and just kind of accept that maybe there would be fewer picks, but at least we would all be alive on the point, or there needed to be character changes. And again, I don't know who they would have been able to swap to. I'm thinking for tanks, Diva necessarily probably wouldn't have been the best option, because again, that Winston just goes straight through the matrix. But otherwise, there aren't any mobile tanks who right now would have been a great option. You couldn't have played Doom here. You can't play Doom at this level. But you couldn't have, even Hazard I don't think would have been a great option. I think you kind of needed a Kiriko, unfortunately. You needed a very mobile support to be with you, and she's the only one who has a reasonable healing output at the moment. Rest in peace, Mercy. But
yeah, and I mean, we've seen that before with the Terps, where when they don't have a Kiriko, it can struggle. It can cause that they miss that exact exact niche. But I think also Yeah, just making those big changes, keeping
Yeah.
some of that cohesion, because I think, like, especially Blizzard World, we saw those little things start to
Yeah.
happen again, and I think that's really, like, one of the big tipping points. Just being also super precise on all those ultimates. I noticed a lot. There was just times, like, I understand that it's a very tempting thing. It's what's going to change it, and you think you might see the moment, it might be the time, but just really, like, you have to be careful at this kind of close of a match, you know?
Q is just such a tempting button.
Mhm.
You know, it's hard to resist the temptation. But either way, it was fun watching. I'm always happy to be in the
Yeah,
studio and watch these
course.
games. It's so interesting just to see such high level gameplay. You know, I don't see this in my games. So it's nice to see people
Yeah.
who, again, even if this wasn't, I don't think, the apex of the Terps performance, there was still, again, the entire Blizzworld match. I loved it. Seeing again that teamwork is beautiful, and just that again that competitive spirit. So congrats to Michigan here. They're going on next week to compete against Ohio to be the champions, but the Terps left their mark in this tournament.
Yeah.
So can't say I'm disappointed.
I'll say no matter what, the Terps will give you something entertaining to watch at least.
Always.
So that is definitely a great thing for them, and it was a great match and a great time hanging with you all tonight. But with that, we're going to end out our broadcast. I want to thank, of course, our sponsors, Philip Merrill College of Journalism, the Recreation and Wellness Center, these people right here, actually, on my shirt, Recwell. And then, of course, Playwire as well. You know, unfortunately, not the outcome we want, but still a great match. And, you know, UMD will come back. And you know, there's always going to be more games to play.
Always.
And I'm sure they're going to come back ready and hungry for a victory. So with that, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.